Hey, what's going on guys? Broken Machine here. Hope you guys are all doing good today. We got a quick look at some of the new maps, vehicles, and changes coming to Battlefield 5. This was in DICE's latest Dev Talks video. They've released a couple of these and there will be a new one in a couple of weeks' time. Let's have a look at some of the core changes. Good news, if the beta seemed a little quiet at times, they've actually fixed the audio bug that was causing this, and Battlefield 5 should feel much more like the fuller experience we're so used to. Time to kill is being looked into, and plenty of weapon adjustments are coming.
Certain weapons stand out specifically. I'm not going to name any specific STGs or anything like that, but you know, certain weapons are more effective than others on more engagement ranges, meaning it dominates close, mid, and far. So we're taking a look at certain weapons there and then bringing them into the fold a little bit. But in general, like you said, David, we have a really good spread in terms of like which weapon and archetype is the most effective at what ranges and stuff like that, which really... You know.
Liking those changes personally. Also turns out the instant death feeling in the beta was actually due to a network issue. So in the final game, it should feel like you are actually able to react to being shot at. Well, maybe in some situations at least. I don't know about you guys, but personally I'd like a time to kill and time to death similar to that seen in BF1. Not too fast and not too slow. One I would suggest that promotes good aim would be best in my opinion. If you're off target and or lose control of your weapon, your opponent may just get away. I think that's the way to go. How does that sound to you guys? What do you think about that? Moving on, if you struggled with player visibility in the beta, good news, DICE are actually adding a very subtle distance haze. That's how it looks pretty fine to me, no issues there so far, but I would love to try it in person. You know, some changes like this, you know, they don't look so bad on a video, but when you're playing the actual game, they could change up the game just a little bit, so, or maybe a lot, I don't know. So I would love to try this myself. They have improved the lighting overall as well, and even by hand in certain places. Hopefully down those corridors on Rotterdam, some of those places were just insanely dark and it was so hard to see people.
You know, wall has been blown up, now we need more lighting coming in from here and so on and so forth. So actually it's a lot of work, but we're putting in those hours now to make sure that the visibility goes up, because, you know, we took away a lot of the shooting at icons, and that puts us in a position where we need to be, you know, we need to be better.
Yeah.
So thumbs up from me on those changes. Definitely was a little too tricky to spot people at times. Also, better visuals will hopefully mean more people moving around the map and filling it up as well. I know for me at times, I would get a little campy and slow down my gameplay because it was just so damn hard to see people in certain areas of the map. Of course you want that here and there, change up the pacing in places of course, but in the beta it was a little silly at times.
Certain parts of the community said that they felt the game felt too slow, and I would actually agree. We've had a mandate and a mission with this game to kind of introduce highs and lows in the game. And I think we've succeeded in that, but I think where we haven't really gotten all the way is that our highs aren't as high as they can be. We want Battlefield to reach, you know, chaos level 11 when it goes up, and we haven't gotten there yet. And I think one of the reasons is that the player, once they're out for a longer time, which means that the amount of players alive at any given time on the map has gone down. But with these improvements we're doing right now to the gameplay tempo, means that you're gonna bleed out faster if you so choose. You can still hang on as long if you want to. And the time it takes for you to respawn is also shorter, which means that you will spend, if you don't want to spend as much time in the man downs, that you can actually get back into the action faster.
Yeah, and we won't sort of punish players for holding on anymore either. So the timer starts from you getting downed, the respawn timer, which means holding on, if you really want to get revived, is the best thing to do, essentially. If you see a medic and they will actually come, you won't get punished if they fail to revive you.
No.
You can just get out of there then.
So the experience will pretty much be, if you get shot down and you call for a medic and that medic gets shot in the face and falls to the ground, and then you decide to bleed out, your respawn time will pretty much be zero and you'll just get back into the action. So we won't penalize you for choosing to ask for help.
Much needed in my opinion. I play both PC and console. The PC beta seemed fine for the most part, but on console it did seem a little slow at times. To put it in perspective, my best game on console was 67 kills I believe, maybe 70. On PC I managed a 91. Probably go higher on both I'm sure, but I'm just putting that there to you know, give you guys an idea. There is quite a difference. I definitely noticed it when switching up between the two. If it was up to me, I'd also add subtle changes to the map design if I could, especially on Rotterdam. This could potentially alter the pacing to some extent. Not too much of a change, just maybe take out some of the clutter around the map, around the edges, you know, stop people sniping over there too much. You know, if you want to snipe over there, that's fine, but you got to be in the right position. I just feel around the outside of the edges of the map, there's just too much cover. I don't think we need that much there. So if we could change that, we should hopefully bring more people inside the map more and, you know, up the pacing a little bit. Key changes have been made to the attrition system. Certain weapons will have more starting ammunition on spawn, a much needed change in my opinion, and many players on my channel have actually mentioned they'd jump on a flag, get outnumbered, maybe survive, and have to go find some ammo quickly and probably die in the process. A little more ammo could help with that and, you know, really go a long way. You know, I do like this attrition system, I just think it goes a little bit too far. Also, there will be more ammo capacity too. That's how much ammo you can carry on your person. I'd like enough to jump on a flag, take on a few players, and not have to run to a resupply station straight away. Not too much, but enough to not feel like I have to go to the resupply station and get ammo after every damn gunfight. You know, I'm not a big fan of that. It wasn't the case in the beta all the time, but there was moments where I was just like, oh, you know, I've got to go over there again and again and again. It's not fun. It's not fun in my opinion. Also, they are looking into every soldier spawning in with a medic pouch. That's a great change in my opinion. I soon got used to the new meta of grabbing one before jumping into battle, but that got a little annoying and very repetitive. So a nice change there, I think. What do you think, guys? Resupply stations will probably need to be built, and pre-built ones may only appear in HQ. By HQ, I assume they mean starting spawns and not on the actual flags. Personally, I like this idea. Hopefully it will mean more supports on the map as they do build fortifications faster, and also potentially more people moving and getting around the map. You know, I do think they need to look into these resupply stations and the way they affect the flow of the map, you know. There was some good positions where they were, you know, I liked how it changed up some of the maps and some of the flags, but there was moments where I was just like, does that one need to be there? Maybe if they placed it in a certain spot, there would be more traffic in a certain area. You know, I hope they are thinking about these things, and they've got tons of data to use that, you know, can see if there is an area that's perhaps too busy or not busy enough. You know, they can tweak these things before release. As for vehicles, there will be more light, medium and anti-aircraft vehicles as well. Also the heavy tanks we saw in the beta.
Please go ahead.
Another class that we haven't seen in the open beta, talking about airplanes, are the anti-aircraft tanks. So there's the Wirbelwind or Flak Panzer on the German side, and then on the British side we have the Valentine Mark 1 AA, and both of those have tons of cannons and tons of bullets flying through the sky to combat against different fighter plane classes.
Before joining the project, I didn't actually know the Valentine AA tank existed, and when you look at it,
neither did I.
Kind of looks like something that isn't real.
It's almost as if we made it up.
Yes,
that's true.
But we didn't, and that makes it even more cool, I think.
Speaking of that, we're gonna go through the balance of the vehicles, and can you just explain a little bit about how we are working when we're trying to find a balance for the vehicles and what differs from beta and what we were looking towards launch?
Yeah, so I think, like I said, a big answer to that is actually completing the lineup. We want tanks to be, the tanks are the dragons of our game. Once they show up on the field, everyone should relate to that. If you're seeing a friendly tank, you should try to push alongside the tank. If you're an enemy of the tank, you should cower in fear, basically.
Like I always do.
Yes. And then with the different classes, that is true more or less. I mean, the heavy tanks are supposed to be like dominating features on the battlefield. The light tanks are supposed to be like small, annoying harassers that outflank and stuff like that.
We've talked about using the weight of the class as one of the elements we use to balance. So if it's a heavy tank, you're tough to take down, but you're less agile and less offensive towards targets like infantry. But you're better at taking out other vehicles. The light tanks have less weight, so they're more agile, and they have more accurate and more reactive, or more ability to react with their weapons, and they're better against smaller targets like infantry.
Yeah, heavy tanks have to rely on their toughness to get out of a sticky situation. Light tanks have to rely on their speed and maneuverability to get out of sticky situations.
Sounds interesting, but will that happen in game? I hope so. We do need some variety in not only vehicle versus vehicle action, but also vehicle and infantry gameplay as well. For that, I think we need more maps like Rotterdam, where we can actually be useful as infantry following a vehicle. Open maps, you know, are just too risky in general, but that does depend on the map design, of course. Hopefully they can get it right, you know, maybe less Sinai and more Kaiser ops perhaps. You know, on Kaiser vehicles, you could follow them, you could join them in battle, but on an open map, it is a little bit too risky at times. Many interesting changes coming to the vehicle damage system as well.
So even though our tanks are beasts sometimes, you can actually destroy them, and we have something called systemic damage, which we have had previous titles, but we have upped our game in this area, right? Would you like to just explain a little bit about what we're actually adding?
Yeah, sure. So we've had systemic damage in the game on vehicles in one way or another since I think BF3 was the first time we introduced a sort of a mobility kill or a disabled state where you couldn't drive. I think it's the purpose there was to have an element of the vehicle gameplay that could be affected by soldiers or other anti-tank weapons that wasn't destroying the vehicle outright, but sort of like chipping away or helping infantry feel like they can affect the vehicle even though they're not destroying it outright. I think we've done a good job in Battlefield 5 and tweaking this in this iteration. If you compare to BF1, we had like you could become immobile, you could destroy weapons on the vehicle so they couldn't be used, but sometimes that left you feeling sort of dead in the water, or it felt pointless to, you're just getting attacked more and you can't move or you can't shoot back. So instead what we're doing is we're toning down the effects of this so that they are, they change your decisions as a tank player, but they don't leave you feeling like you're stuck or that you have no choices.
Hopefully this will mean more vehicles pushing objectives and actually helping out the team. Far too many vehicles in BF1 would sit back and never push. There will also be turret damage, so after taking some hits, your turret speed will be reduced and engines can be damaged as well. All neat changes in my book, new changes to planes as well. They're hoping to make the fighter planes more similar and thus more balanced, hopefully. All good changes in my opinion. I'm loving these Dev Talks videos, I think they're really helpful and the community wants to see more of these. If you want to see the next one, do subscribe to the Battlefield channel. I'm actually hoping for a much richer Battlefield this time around. The beta was fun, enjoyed it thoroughly no doubt, but it did feel a little empty at times. I'm sure the audiobook was a huge part of that though. Oh well. What do you think guys? Looks pretty promising to me. I can't wait to get hands-on with these new planes and new vehicles. Very fancy. Let me know your thoughts down below and drop a like if you wish. See you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.